As you know, on this channel, we've been covering what's been happening in Dover with the French boats coming from Calais and other places because we've been frustrated with the way the Home Office and the Border Force have been managing this or mismanaging this whole situation. We've been having hundreds and hundreds of people illegally entering this country, which is bad for people who want to come here legally, go through the process and the queue, and obviously ordinary people in this country who pay their taxes. And obviously, they're missing out in terms of, well, they're losing out in terms of the system. Now, the government have been under pressure recently because of individuals like Nigel Farage, who started making these videos in Dover exposing the national scandal where the French boats, the French authorities are escorting these boats towards Britain and the border force are bringing them in. And Serco, the company, are sending them to hotels, four-star hotels, to just wait there for their process, and a lot of them obviously end up living here illegally anyway. But Boris Johnson and Priti Patel have finally decided to act. Now, I know what you're going to say. We'll believe it when we see it. Absolutely. But the way things are going, a couple of weeks ago, Priti said that she wants to change the international law. Today, Boris and Priti are acting again, which is good. So there's a bit of a clash between Boris Johnson and Macron. Boris has now vowed to pass a new law to deport the Channel migrants. So this includes what Priti is doing. She's sending the Navy to turn back the boats. And for those that have already crossed the border and already here with the taxis, then they want to be able to then send them back afterwards. So this is the situation we have. So the report is talking about how obviously Boris wants to introduce a new law to change the agreement that we have with the French. And the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has also appointed a new small boats commissioner, commander, sorry, who's going to be in charge of Dover. And so that's kind of good news. Again, we have to wait and see what happens at the end. But the Prime Minister has said that it was time to look at the legal framework that we have. That means that when people do get here, it is very, very difficult to then send them away again, even though blatantly they've come here illegally. Currently, Britain's struggling border force must escort boats to the UK if they get into trouble in British waters, but ministers want to cut a deal with France to allow them to be returned instantly to Calais. So obviously Boris Johnson has received all this criticism recently and they want to make some changes. And Priti Patel this morning went to Dover. She was actually on one of the border force, border control boats to have a look. Yes, obviously it's a PR stunt and she wants to be seen that she's doing something. But I know, as I said in the past, I know she wants to do something. This whole system has become so complicated with the bureaucracy of it, with the international law, with the Home Office bureaucrats who have been very complacent. But things are obviously slowly changing, hopefully. So as we said, this is the government press release talking about how Dan O'Mahony has been appointed to collaborate with the French to tackle these channel crossings. He's going to be the new small boat commander. I wish I had that title. It's brilliant. So we have to wait and see how this actually ends. But this is, I think, just the beginning of the saga, because the last few weeks especially have been very bad. It's been quite shambolic for the government. Now, we've received a lot of questions from the members of the channel. It's Monday, so I'm going to answer them on this topic and other issues as well. If you want to become a member, check out the link in the description or just go on youtube.com/MayaTousi/join. Now, Greg Jackson says, Maya, do you think that we should be held to ransom by France for the sum of £30 million to return the boats and migrants directly back to France? So Greg is talking about the news that came out over the last couple of days that Emmanuel Macron is now demanding more money, even though we have already given France over £100 million when it comes to this agreement. He wants another 30 million on top of it. Otherwise, he said, I'm just going to let the boats come towards you. I think eventually the UK government will give him the money, whether it's actually 30 million or just around that figure, to just get this over with. Obviously, we shouldn't pay them, but that's just how these negotiations work. Steve Page says, do you think that the Australian method of towing the illegal economic migrants back to the point where they can only return back to the country that they set from uh, is good or bad. Yeah, I mean, if he works for Australia, even though obviously it's a place that's very far away, and they are still able to send the boats back, it can't be that difficult to send the boats back from Dover to Calais. It doesn't take that long anyway, and it will be pretty safe. You have to be strong on this because um, this whole debate is no longer about the actual illegal migrants who are crossing. It's big business. This is about the smugglers who are making millions of pounds or dollars or whatever they make uh, every year through this big business, and it's against the law, international law, and someone has to stop them because if you stop a few illegal migrants as individuals, it's not going to stop the operation. In order to stop the operation, you have to get these smugglers, and I'm pretty sure governments, especially the French authorities, know who these people are. Just get them. So we have to obviously work around that. Norseman says, "Hi Maya, do you think the government have got the Serco contract wrong, that they should be paid on how many boats they turn around or stop?" I think for those of you who don't know, Serco are in charge. They have a massive contract with the government. They're involved in a lot of areas, from the Boris spikes to waste management to schools and logistics, transport, defense. And now they're in charge of these illegal migrants. They send them to these hotels to stay and wait for their process. You're right, because the agreement was always supposed to be to not allow anybody entering this country illegally anyway. So I don't understand why Serco should be helping them to actually bring them in and sending them to these hotels. The contract should have said, Serco, you know, you have to help us to kind of transport them back to France or wherever they came from. I think that should be reviewed as well anyway. I think the pressure is now on the government to do this. Polly says, "Hi Maya, do you think France are being extra awkward because of our refusal on the fisheries? During the Brexit trade talks. I did hear some rumors about the French police taking bribes to turn a blind eye. Yeah, I mean that's happened a lot. I think there's a point about this during the Brexit trade talks, because this issue has become even bigger over the last few months. Whether it's the fisheries itself or France, as part of the European Union, try to punish the UK for leaving, or trying to force us during these trade talks to compromise and then do this whole agree to the level playing field, or just fisheries. Yeah, I could see that because the coincidence is just interesting, the timing of this whole chaos, but we don't know exactly. Martin Nicholas says, "Dear Maya, is the BLM movement causing division? It now seems out of control. It is everywhere, all of the time, particularly in sports and media." Yeah, I think the one thing about the BLM movement is that, just like with everything else, when it comes to the left, eventually they end up eating themselves. And it's happening. You have the FF Force, I think it's called, who are very radical. They're doing marches on the streets, calling for a lot of radical measures. You got the ordinary, well, more average activists of BLM who just want to defund the police, because that's moderate. And you got all the others. I think they're becoming divided inside anyway. And that's why you've had a lot of big brands and companies who once supported this movement withdrawing their support now because they know that things are changing. I don't think it will last forever, but this is the sort of movement that it keeps changing. There was a time when they were focusing on class division, and now it's about obviously people's skin color and everything else. You could destroy the movement, but it will come back as something else in the future. Randy says, "Maya, hello from Texas. We know that the US and the UK are working on a trade deal as well as coming together to work against China. Do you see any other areas that the US and UK could be better partners?" On the plus side, the UK and the US have that special relationship. They are very close when it comes to cooperation on defense, on data, on cybersecurity. So that's pretty good already with intelligence. I think the one thing that's been missing has been trade. So that's good. If we get this trade deal sorted soon, in the next couple of years, few years with America, it will take slightly longer with the US because they're a protectionist country. They want to negotiate every area. It's not as easy as signing it with Japan or Australia or other countries. but it will definitely help us. Whether you like him or not, Donald Trump will actually help when it comes to this topic. So if you have Joe Biden, I'm not really sure how much progress we'll make during these trade talks with the US. Marion says, do you agree that the government and Serco has little to do with capitalism, but it's actually cronyism? Cronyism. So it's actually corporatism. It's no longer capitalism. You have these companies who have public sector contracts, and it's not really capitalism in that sense. The only capitalist part of it comes from the fact that Serco as a company was started on a free market platform as a small company, then they grew, and now they're becoming a dominating figure, essentially like a monopoly in the public sector. So, and yeah, it's not capitalism. This is the problem. People on the left look at examples like Serco and say, well, this is capitalism, but not really. It's not. It's corporatism. Mr. Privacy says, why do you talk so posh when you grew up in a council estate in London? Is that your real voice? Mr. Privacy, I don't know. Firstly, I don't think I speak posh. I don't know. I was taught as a kid by my mum to always pronounce my T's, unlike a lot of other my friends in Southeast London. But yeah, I'm not sure really. I don't know. Yes, trust me. I was from a council estate in Lewisham. Just went to a good school, maybe. Well, I went to a comprehensive Church of England comprehensive in Lewisham as well. So it's not like I went to a private school. So yeah, that's about my accent. Thanks for the questions. As I said, if you want to become a member and use all these perks and benefits, then check out the link in the description, or just go on youtube.com/mytc/join. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You could find the handles down there on the screen. I'm MyTC. I'll see you guys in the next video.